I'm playing a gig over here in downtown Jacksonville at this place called Hemming Park. And you know, if I was a Southern lady, to all the people putting effort into making this a great city, I would just have to be like, oh, well, look, you're trying, bless your heart, all condescending like that, because this place is, whatever's going on here, like not here specifically, but this whole like downtown hipster movement, or whatever you want to call it, the progressive side of town, or whatever's going on over here, the way that it is, for whatever you think of it is the way that it is, in part because, I'll put it this way, I went to the bookstore right now, and like before I started my set, and I asked this girl at the counter about this book, and I go, why is this, I looked at it looked pretty interesting. It was, I might post the title of the book in the show notes, but I asked her about the book, and I said, why is the book $65? And she says something like, all snarky, like, well, why does anything cost what it costs? Like, it's $65 because whoever said that that's what it was worth, that's what it was worth, and that's what people will pay. I'm like, I didn't say anything to her, I just ignored her, because I'm like, you're getting all like opportunely like philosophical on me with that tone. All right, fine, whatever. So then on my break, I go into the coffee house, and the girl working behind the counter there's a dude working behind the counter. He seems friendlier than everybody else. But the girl working behind the counter there, she has this look on her face, like everybody has this look on their face, like they're like, I can't believe I have to deal with these idiots all day. And the funny thing is, they're dealing with each other. Everybody's thinking that about everybody else, I guess. It's just this is a Texas thing. If you go to a few podcast episodes ago, you notice I was talking about Texas and the difference. I didn't encounter this over there. Like this like sour puss face, like this sourness. It's a strange thing over here. It's like, it's mysterious. It's like fog. It is like Stranger Things. It is creepy. It could be like They Live. Maybe all these people are like They Live, and that's what's going on. And I'm not an alien, and everybody is an alien. And you know, I have to go back and play right now. But you know, I was thinking, I was like playing for all these folks down here, and it's a lot of poor people that I'm playing for. Sorry, that sounds of a truck. That's the sound of a truck. I'm outside. What do you expect? It's the sound of I'm playing for poor people, and like there's plenty of homeless people in this park here. And it's not really a park, it's a plaza, but I heard that they didn't have any money for plazas in grant programs, so they changed it to name it to a park. So playing on here, and then I realized something about like white culture, you know. I was like, why? I was sitting there playing the guitar, believe it or not, this is the kind of shit I think about. Like, I think about all kinds of things really, but this is what I was thinking about. It's like, I know why. I was like, they're the most xenophobic people I've ever met in my life, you know, living here in America, have been, you know, white Americans, like white folks. Like the most xenophobic, like the most get out of our country, like that kind of thing, like get away, run, I don't like this, or, you know, just look at history. What am I gonna tell you, right? Pretty good. And so you look at history, and the reason they feel that way is because I think in the back of their mind, they know that they took it from somebody. You know what I mean? So they know, like those, especially those really xenophobic dudes, they're like, holy shit, that's why these people are moving in, because we took this shit so they could take it, right? It's like, and that was fresh. It's still fresh in the course of history. So I could dig it. I can understand that. You know, I don't know if it looks weird anymore for people to be talking into their phone and walking around other people, but this is what I'm doing. And I gotta play some more music. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. You can't change people. You know, even Disney movies teach you that you can't change people. Like Cinderella, for example, she had these stepsisters that were total bitches to her. And her stepmom was an ass, and they were just awful people. They treated her like crap, and you know, what could she do? They were just cruel. They they were continuously cruel to her. That's a messed up word, continuous. It's got an O and a U right next to each other, and you're supposed to say both of them, continuous. So anyway, Cinderella is like, what did they do? She went and they told her she can go to the prom, to the prom. They told her she can go to the ball, and then when she went to the ball, I'm sorry. And then they told her, okay, you need a dress. And she got a dress, and they made fun of her fucking dress. They said, that's not a good enough dress. And then the mice and whatever made her a dress. And then it was beautiful. And then it was made with some of the stepsisters discarded items. And they said, that's mine. And they tore it up. Now, what does it have to do with changing people? Cinderella goes out and gets a prince. And she's like, this dude likes me. He comes back, gives her the slipper. So she bails, right? She bails. She doesn't stay behind and be like, I need to change and save these people. She doesn't do that, right? This story is telling you, if you meet people who are awful to you, you need to get the fuck out of there as soon as possible, because you're not going to change these people. Like, that's what the story is telling you. Imagine, you know, the story, it's not saying anything else. It's not telling you that Cinderella stayed there and she toughed it out and she changed these people and she turned them vegan and she got them going to yoga and meditation and then, you know, this kind of thing. So what else? What other Disney story is there that there's no change like that? Like, they just get away, right? I could think of many. But I'm not too good with the titles. So yeah, so check that out, right? It's true, right? All right, I just finished my gig. I'm getting home from my gig, and I'm gonna see my wife and my little beautiful children right now. And I'm gonna take my beautiful child to go look for a 9-volt battery, a 9-volt AC/DC adapter. Yes, I'm still on mission. Hey, but I'm gonna have one coming in from Amazon Prime because one of our relatives has Amazon Prime, and I'm just gonna order it through them. So fuck you, Amazon. All right. Kind of. You still win. You still get the purchase. All right. All right. You know, I'm sorry that I keep podcasting from my car, and I hope you don't mind, but this is what you gotta do. When you're a parent, you gotta do things when you can do them. If I could practice and like write music in my car, I would totally do that. Maybe I'll try doing that. At least I can probably write music in my car, but not really play it. Not really play it. I don't know how that would work. Anyway, I just played at the hospital for Body and Soul, and it goes a little something like this. Actually, I'm not gonna sing for you right now. I was walking through the hospital, and this was one of the nicer hospitals. There's a hospital called Mayo, right? And there's a hospital called St. Vincent's, and there's another hospital called Baptist out here. These are big hospitals. There's other hospitals, I'm sure, around here, but when I used to go, there's another one called Chan's. I used to think, before I started playing music at hospitals, and for those of you who don't know, I play in people's hospital rooms and at the waiting rooms, and it's awesome for all the reasons that you can imagine. So when I started playing in hospitals, I always thought that all the hospitals were the same. Like there was a standard of quality of hospitals. They were all hospitals, right? There was not a good hospital or a worse hospital. But as I started playing in hospitals, I learned that there was a difference between them as far as, all right, first of all, I noticed that the patients, in certain hospitals, there was a lot more minorities in those hospitals. Fine, I don't know anything about hospitals, right? I'm just going into them and I've never been in a hospital. I've never stayed at one. I don't want to stay at one. I've seldom visited people at hospitals because, fortunately, people don't get hurt that often. And So I'm walking down this hallway of the hospital I just played at, and it's a really nice hospital, right? It's one of the nicer ones. Now I know that there's nice hospitals and not nice hospitals. The ones that are not nice, the ones that are kind of shabby-er, they're still great, I'm sure. Have like little dust bunnies in the corners. Or maybe those are the really bad ones. Or their floor is scuffed up, okay? You know how when you go into like Target, you go in there and the floor is all shiny, or you go and then you go into like some like off-brand supermarket, the floor is all like has no gloss. So I'm walking through the hallway, I'm like, God damn, it's clean in here. It's super clean in here, and it's like, and there's wood paneling on the walls and the elevator, everything seems sturdy. It's like if you drive a Honda, right, or a Toyota, you close your door and you hear the door rattle. You hear all the components go, right? But if you drive if you get into an expensive car like a BMW or a Mercedes or something like that, when you close the door, you hear it shut like a vacuum, like, right? You know, it sounds like a solid door. Well, this hospital is the solid door, and there's no minorities in this hospital. Am I gonna make this about race? Yes. No, I'm just kidding. Who would want to do that, right? Right now. I wouldn't want to do that. You have enough of that on your Facebook and your Twitter feed, whatever you're on. So there's no minorities at this hospital, and that means, of course, that white people have money or good insurance. And there's some veterans that go to this hospital, but I'm sure not all. Maybe the officers. So now I was thinking, if you get sick and you go to one of these nice hospitals, right? It sucks. You get sick, it doesn't matter where you go, it doesn't matter what happens, you're sick, right? But if you get sick for your family and for yourself, do you feel better if you go to a nice hospital like this one as opposed to the one with dust bunnies in the corner? You know, the one with dust bunnies in the corner, I won't say the name of that one, but oh man, that's scary. You're walking with your walker and your IV bag down the hallway trying to do some rehabilitation, and you're walking down the hall, and you hear under your slipper, you feel the dirt and hear the dirt under your slipper, and you see the dust bunny in the corner. Or the other vision is that you're at this nice hospital and you're walking down the hallway and it's all shiny and there's wood paneling and people are better looking because they discriminate more, I guess, like based on these kinds of things. So what is it with people and looks, right? People are like, Goliath, you're so hung up on the way that people look. You know what? Fuck you, because I'm hung up on the way people look. All right, the neighborhood where I live in, where it's supposed to be all progressive and shit, if your teeth are even a little bit fucked up, nobody's gonna talk to you, right? If you're missing a tooth, forget it. Are you gonna get a job somewhere around there? Probably not, right? You have to have stellar fucking teeth where I live. And your dog, you have to have complete control over your dog. And if you're of the Caucasian preference, the Caucasian descendants, you can unleash your dog at the park and show the world how much control you have over your dog. But if you were, let's say, a black male who was like 35 and you did that with your dog in the park where I live, sir, you have to keep your dog on a leash, sir, right? That's where that would come in. But how the fuck did I get off on that path right there? The park and the dogs. Anyway, playing at hospitals is great, and I love doing it. And I noticed this thing about the hospital, and may you, if you get ill, may you go to a nice hospital and stay in a nice hospital. Myself, if I were to get ill and need to go to the hospital for any reason, I get hurt or whatever, I'm probably not going to go to the nice one because I don't have insurance, right? They don't accept Medicaid at Mayo. You understand that? They don't accept it there. Like, you have to have some good ass insurance. So that's what I can tell you about the hospitals. I mean, I can tell you a lot more actually. Like I just can't even tell you how great it is to play for people in there. It is a golden opportunity every time I do it, and I've been doing it for like 13 years. Hell, I don't know, maybe more, maybe like 15 years. Anyhow, I like things that integrate society, right? I don't like things that are off separate, like if you go off on a retreat and everything's peaceful over there, or if you go and you're into this exclusive club in your area and you guys are the good ones, therefore by default having the necessity to have bad ones, bad people, and those are the bad people and we're the good people. I like things that integrate society. I don't like things that are like fucking, oh, this is what we do, what do you do? That's why I don't usually play, I don't look for I don't look to play at like Latino functions, as you might have heard from like a podcast ago or two. All right, so you know what? I gotta go because I gotta drive up here and there's a new traffic pattern and I don't wanna crash. I love you. Bye-bye. All right, folks. So I'm stuck in traffic, and if you hear that like boo, that's the battery of the car kicking in. Like I'm driving a hybrid because I want to be pompous and pretentious and shit. I'm gonna start doing yoga too, and I'm gonna start doing meditation. I was thinking about starting a yoga class, like me starting as the yoga teacher, and it would be called Yoga for Assholes. And oh, you're already in it? You're already doing that class? It's just not called that? Okay, so anyhow, I don't know, man. I don't know why I have this idea. I could be completely fucking wrong, that there's a bunch of assholes that do these kinds of things like yoga. Like it attracts assholes. It attracts people that think that they're exceptional from society. Like they don't have to like pay their rent, or they don't have to like pay for a cell phone. They could just use yours. You know what I'm saying? And then you have like the trust fund Rasta like looking person who's like their fucking parent is a lawyer or they own some lumber company or some shit like that, and if they're slumming it right now, but they can always like later on they can always just plug into the family business, plug into that old community that's established there. And it must be a whole different life, like to look at things like that, to think about things that way. I mean, because that no matter, even if you fall, even if you fail, you're never going to actually fall. Like you're never gonna fall. You're not gonna end up on the side of the highway with a sign that says, need some work. And I don't know if I talked about this earlier, but that reminds me of, people who are homeless. There's a lot of people who are homeless who have drug problems. And it's a peculiar thing to me because when I think about it in the abstract sense, like if I was watching ants and then I watched this one ant go and grab like a piece of glass and then go get a piece of rock and then heat it up in that rock and then like inhale it, and it just kept doing that. And it had no apparent purpose. Like it wasn't apparent, like when it picks up a leaf and carries it to the hole, it would be like this abstract thing that it was doing and going off into a spiral, a psychological spiral off into a different direction, in a direction that is not really directly related to the realities of things on the ground for it. It's funny like that, right? Like drugs are, people use these things to just kick themselves to the side to change how they feel, even if they're poor, even like, especially if they're poor, like if they're living in some crappy ass house on the outskirts of town and there's not much to look forward to in life. So you do this thing and it makes you feel different. Here's what happened with me. It never made me feel different about things. It just magnified this or that in a different way. I could never escape. I think that has to do with my upbringing, which is why I never became addicted to any drugs. Because my upbringing, I think it has to do with upbringing, and if you have a solid, even though my upbringing was at times traumatic and not, let's put it this way, it was not the ideal, not even close. But my upbringing, but there was enough strength and fortitude and teaching of honor and principles and being honorable, not honor like a samurai, but fuck it, like that too. And principles and humanitarianism and caring, that it was something that I've never wanted to let go. Why would you want to let go of something so beautiful? If somebody taught you something so beautiful, why would you want to let that go, right? You wouldn't. So what if in a lot of cases of like drug addiction and drug abuse, this is the thing that is missing in people, something so much more wonderful than everything else that is being encountered in life, that it's your measuring stick for what you're going to do and which way you're going to go. It's your measuring stick for how you're going to judge whether or not you're going to get into this or into that, or get with this person or with that person, or be friends with this person or that person. I want to give you that beautiful thing. I want to show you that something that's so wonderful that it'll be your measuring stick. As a matter of fact, I'm showing it to you right now. And then when we're done with this, you're going to be completely brainwashed, and I'm going to get you into my cult, because I'm going to be like the cult leader that doesn't want to be a cult leader, and that's going to be my stick, right? Like, people have done that before. So the whole cult leader, like, I'm not a guru, and then they're a guru though. Like, everybody's treating them like a guru, and they're buying them Rolexes and buying them Rolls Royces and houses, but I'm not a guru, right? I'm fucking around with that last part. I'm not going to start a cult. I'm not that kind of person. I don't even want to have a band, because I don't even want to be in charge of my band, right? I'm like, I don't want to, I'm not the boss, dude. And I'm like, you know what? Hey, you want to do this gig with me? Come on, let's show up over here at fucking Marriott Sawgrass or whatever, and we'll do this gig. All right, and this is how much it pays. I'm not your boss. Fucking don't be asking me about costumes and shit. But speaking about costumes, I want to start this mariachi band, but my wife wants to move like soon. Like, just forget. She's just kind of like, I guess she's kind of like, Goliath, just fuck all your dreams and like your ideas. We're gonna do what I want to do all the time. And maybe that's how it is. I don't know. I'm peeping it out right now. So, all right, look, the traffic is breaking up here, and I'm gonna get off the phone because I don't want to crash again. And traffic isn't this crazy? Like, we're all in our separate cars going in the same direction, and each car is burning up gasoline with its 4 or 6 or 8 cylinders of steel, making thousands of explosions per minute. And each one of these cars is doing that with 150 horsepower underneath each hood. And we're all going in the same direction. All of us burning oil. This is when I look at us like we're ants. Like, what the fuck are these psychotic, insane, nonsensical ants doing? That would be the equivalent. Didn't I say I was just gonna shut up right now? That would be the equivalent of, lucky for all of you who know me, I don't do this in person. I don't keep talking. You know when you want to go and the person just keeps talking, and they're like, and you're trying to give them every single, and you could even tell them, hey man, I gotta go, and they just fucking keep talking. Hey, what's wrong with you? Why do you do that, man? But if you're like me, for example, on my last podcast, I was like, if you were like me, like my dad, right? That's what my dad used to do. I was gonna say that, but I don't want to get too sidetracked. But if you do that, if you're doing that to me, hey, I'm from Los Angeles, man. I'm from a big city. I'll tell your ass. I'll just walk away from you. I'll just like, I gotta go. Boom. I'll just leave, right? And you'll be like, and you set yourself up to be offended and a victim. And you're like, I don't understand. Like, you're so rude. I'm fucking rude. I'm rude because your ass wouldn't be quiet, even though I told you 3 times maybe in 3 different ways and 1 time directly that I gotta go. And you just keep talking. Anyhow, I don't even remember what the hell I was talking about before that. Damn it. I was talking about the traffic and the ants and watching us do these things like we're crazy. And if we're crazy, you know, I hate when that happens, man. I think that I can hang on to the idea, you know, if I veer off, but I can't. And I don't have enough time to make a like symbol in my mind that they could burn like in my mind's eye, in the left side of the sky over here, so I can remember what it was. But ants, help me out here. You know what sucks is this is a recording and I can't, this is going in one direction. This is like time. This is like a time-space continuum. Now I'm just bullshitting. Now I'm just stalling and trying to remember what it is I was talking about, because I was talking about the dude and keep talking. And lucky for you, I don't do that. That's it. It's dead. It's gone. Welcome to my mind. So I'm watching the first season of this show called Hannibal. Are you familiar with that show, Hannibal? I usually don't watch things like that. Just like, you know, like some crazy person who's going around killing people, because it's just usually not my bag of thing. My bag of thing. My bag. But it's so I'm almost done with the first season, and I don't know if I'm going to go to the second season. I'm already over it. I'm already over okay, I get it, it's gory. Okay, I get it, these people died in a horrible way. Okay, I get it, this dude is deranged and this other dude is deranged. And I'm like, somebody needs to go already. Like some things need to change. There needs to be a change of scenery, or the tone, or the location where it takes place. It's always cloudy and it's always like the same town. You know, it's kind of like living wherever you live. You're just like, you get over it sometimes. So why would I want to do that on a TV show? Like relive that kind of a thing. Anyhow, but some of you might be really into that show and love it. And it's good. I got to tell you, the acting is really good. But we'll see. We'll see if I get into the second season. I'm ready for something different. You know, I only have room for one show, if that, at a time. And you know, today, speaking of Hannibal, just kidding. It's just something I was thinking about today that's totally separate from that. I just happened to be watching an episode of Hannibal before I started podcasting right now. And today we went to this Universalist church, a Universal Unitarian, I don't even know what it's called. But my wife decided she wanted to go to the church today. She's like, we're going to go to church today at 10:30. And I didn't really want to go. I just wanted to stay in bed sleeping, because I had a late gig last night. And I had a long gig last night. My gig was like for 4.5 hours, something like that. My dog's trying to get out of the room right now. And this gig is, I got to tell you, this gig was for a church school benefit, like something like that. And it's in a kind of a fancier part of town. And the theme was Cuban. They wanted a Cuban, like a Latin group, you know. And I don't know, I was laughing at my clothes because I was trying to dress the part, but I don't really have that kind of clothes because I'm a retard when it comes to dressing myself. I apologize if that word retard offends you. I'll find another word if it does. to appease you because I don't mind expanding my vocabulary, unlike some of y'all people who are trying to do 1984 and contract it. But you know what I mean. I don't have any ill intentions with that. If you try to pretend that I do have ill intentions with that, then we can go to toe on Twitter if you want. Can't do it on Facebook because I'm not on there. But the theme of this event was Havana Nights. And I show up there and they have these amazing like 1950s cars like parked outside. And I go there and I set up, and I think one of the ladies who's running the show is like looking at my clothes, and she's like, that doesn't look very Havana-ish. I'm wearing a guayabera, and that's about it. Like I'm wearing, I guess, some nice jeans, a nice pair of jeans, but I'm the musician, you know? It's like I'm going to be behind my guitar, like sitting somewhere anyway. And I knew Joel, the guy that I work with, he's Cuban. He's from Cuba, and he always dresses really nice. And I don't know how to do that. But I'll tell you, the people who were dressed in these things, I gotta tell you, there was like one black person there, and there was a couple of Latinos there, and if you include us, then there was like 4 Latinos there. And I'm telling you that because I'm trying to paint you a picture of the situation. So everybody else was, guess what? You got it. And the way that the men were dressed, they were dressed like they watched some like 1950s movie. I remember this one movie of this kid who, it was like back in the 80s. He went down to Tijuana, Mexico, and he kept looking for Spanish fly. Excuse me. Spanish fly is this like drug that's supposed to make women horny, and you're supposed to give it to them, right? So this guy, he goes down to Mexico, and they were dressed like this dude. And I wish I could tell you the name of the movie, but I don't know. I don't remember it. They were dressed like this guy, so they're wearing kind of a fedora. Like a lot of guys had fedoras on, and some of the men had Cuban hats on, and they were wearing guayaberas. And if I was a different kind of a person, I would go down that route of cultural appropriation. But to this day, I don't really get that. I think the cases of actual cultural appropriation are rare, but I do think that it can exist. Nonetheless, Joel is not like that either, and he's from Cuba. And I asked Joel, I go, hey man, Joel, do people in Cuba, do they really dress like this? And he just kind of smirks at me and he shakes his head no. And he goes, esta cosa es americano. This is an American thing right here. It's an interpretation of it. So they're romanticizing this, you know, and, you know, I'm not trying to talk smack or anything. I'm just describing to you my situation. I'm sure these people are nice people. So I'm sure there's a-holes mixed into the crowd too, you know, like anywhere. But it's just comical to see that from our perspective. And yeah, you know, there was some dancing. There was dancing. They were doing some salsa dancing. It's more, you know what it is more than cultural appropriation? It's like whether it's conscious or unconscious, it's a fetishization. If that's not a word, it is now. Go away. No, it's a fetishization. It's fetishizing this the culture, you know, and that's happened to me as a Mexican for different things. And it's not a big deal, you know, okay, I get it. That's about all I have to say about that. But you know, it's a big world, and that's the kind of thing that people say. It's a big world when they don't know what else to say, because the microphone is rolling, and I don't even have to be doing this, right? But I am. Here I am doing it. Anyhow, getting back to the church, we went to this church, and I'll tell you, we dropped our daughters off, our 1-year-old and our 3-year-old, into the this nursery. And the nursery it just smelled like cleaning solution. And the 2 ladies in there were nice, but they were the only 2 kids in there. And I felt bad about leaving them in there because we were going to go to the church. And I look at my daughter's face. I tell her we're going to go and we'll be right back. And she looks so brokenhearted. Like, it was incredible. And this is I could imagine, and I could think back to when I was a kid, how big of a deal this is. Her world is so small, you know, and this is her parents leaving her here ultimate betrayal is what I saw in her eyes. And the little baby was crying. The 1-year-old Sochi, she was crying. And so we went to go sit down, and I'm kind of upset myself. And we go into the church part, and they make us fill out this paper with our email and everything so they could spam us, I'm sure. And I'm sitting there thinking all these things. I haven't been to a church in a long time, and the pastor dude is whatever he is talking about certain things, and I'm wondering, like, does everybody notice that we're here for the first time? And you know, the crowd was kind of sparse, and it's a Sunday. I expected there to be more people. Just thinking about it after my wife told me where we're going to go, and I couldn't stop thinking about my daughter's face. So I tell my wife, you know, I'm sitting there, and there's this guy singing, and he's like, all like, all ye holy sin. This lady's playing the piano in the background, you know, and I start getting like watery eyed because I'm thinking about my daughter's eyes, and maybe people are thinking I'm feeling the spirit, but that's not what's happening. So I tell my wife, hey, I'm going to go get the girls. You hang out here. We're going to go play outside, you know? And she's like, no, stop it. She's like, sit down. And I'm like, you know, this one's not going to, I'm not going to heed to your demand this time, lady, because I'm determined. And then she has this book, this hymnal in her hand, and she tries to push me down, and I get up and I walk away because I'm stronger than her, right? And then she slips, her hand slips, and she hits the back of this lady's head with a book. And then I wasn't laughing at the time, and I just kept walking, and I walked out. I told her exactly what I was going to do, very simply. Hey, I'm going to go get the daughters. You kick back here. I'm going to go out there. And then I go out there, and then she goes out there with me, and then she sees me looking at the girls, and they seem fine, but they're still by themselves with these two ladies. And that's depressing because there's no other kids for them to play with, you know? And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally going to take them out of there. And her and I talk about it. And then my wife, she's a mental health counselor, and she starts telling me how, Goliath, you need to take care of your attachment issues. And this is based out of fear and what yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, I don't want to hear this shit right now. And, you know, and this is not what's happening. What's happening is that I don't want to leave my kids somewhere where I think to myself, I don't even want to be here. Like, I wouldn't even want to be there myself. Why would I want to leave them there, right? So there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing, in my view. And so luckily, this kid walks past us, and he's going to the nursery. Anyway, they put him in there, they shut him in there, and you can hear him crying. And then we go back and we sit down. I'm thinking, like, man, how long is this thing going to last? These people just want our money. And if you're from the church, Universalist church, listen to this, you know, please don't get offended. I'm just telling you what I was going through. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Expressing what you're going through in your mind. I didn't make any final decisions on anything. Anyway, it turned out good, and this lady gave a sermon, and then we went downstairs and we had a half a cup of coffee, and I tried to give a donation, but I didn't have my wallet because we left the house in a hurry. And then I wound up running into this dude who's a friend of this a guy I knew, Paul Lipinski. He's his brother, and he turns out that he's an organic farmer. Why am I telling you all this? I don't even know. But anyway, it was okay. It was an okay experience. Do I want to keep going to church? I don't know. Maybe. I would much rather rehearse with a group of people in a band in a place and call that church, and then that way we can get gigs and do things together if we're going to have to end up putting the kids somewhere, right? I don't want to just go and like see what happens. You know, I understand that mentality completely, but myself as a parent now, I don't really want to do that anymore. Like, I want to do something that is going to produce something for my kids or myself or something like that. It's not like we're rich, you know, and maybe even if you're rich, you want to do things more along the lines of what I'm telling you about here. So this is my sermon to you. Hopefully you're listening to this on a Sunday. And And hopefully any of this stuff is interesting. You know, I don't even know if I'm being funny or boring or what, but this is it, and this is what's going to happen here. I wish I had a joke to tell you or something like that, but I don't. Other than if I could show you some pictures of that Havana Nights, you would see it. You know what? It was a beautiful event. It was very well done, and there was a lot of flowers everywhere and lights and candles and candles. What am I talking about? There's no candles there. You know, but it was a fundraiser, and they didn't pay us, even though we had a contract and everything. They didn't pay us. They told me to send an invoice, and I'm going to send it to them tomorrow. I don't know why people pretend like the musicians don't need to get paid. Like, even when I play at restaurants, like, they make you wait around. Like, did you know or did you not know that I was coming? Right? Because we've been on the calendar for a month now, right? And then we talked a week ago, and then now you're acting like, oh, I got to go get your check. You know, it's a peculiar thing, and sometimes I wonder if is this being done on purpose or not. It's probably not on purpose, but it's just odd how it always works out that way. You know, for you could talk to any musician and it works out that way. However, if you happen to show up late or not show up, they're going to notice, and they're going to be like, hey, wasn't it on the calendar? It's been on the calendar for a month. Didn't we just talk last week? Right. So people, hey, if you're paying musicians, don't make the musicians wait around to get paid like they're annoying you for a check or something like that. You know, we're professional. We're totally professional level musicians here. You know, and I can tell that some people, like, before we started playing, some people there, maybe some of the people that were paying us, I don't know, you know, they're like, anyway, I don't want to get into that. Anyhow, it was a nice event, and the Unitarian church thing turned out to be pretty cool after all. I'm not going to get all into that, though, and I wouldn't mind going back there, but like I said, I would much rather do a different kind of activity that is more proactive. You know, I know that being part of community is important, and but everything we do is like so white, you know, because my wife is in control of the things that we do a lot of the time, because I don't have that kind of a head. Like, I don't think in terms of like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go over here and meet these people. Because I'm just like thinking about like bills, or I'm thinking about music, or I'm thinking about that I'm trying to do this, or I'm trying to think about that I'm trying to feed the kids, et cetera, or just my world is small. It's smaller. I tend to have a small world in my mind as far as the logistics of things and the way it works around me, immediately around me. And now my imagination is pretty vast, I guess, like anyone's maybe. What was I telling you about? Oh yeah, musicians getting paid. People, please pay your musicians. You know what? Give them a tip. Give them an extra $100. That'd be great. And I think musicians are underpaid. If they're crappy musicians, I think they should get paid what they're getting paid right now. But if they're really good musicians, I think they're underpaid. And I know that places can pay more than what they are. They just don't want to. It's just like not. So like it's not in our budget. I wish there was some way for musicians to be like, well, we're really good musicians and we're sorry. You can hire that dude who's like a wino and he likes to play like that one dude who plays the Key West songs. You know, like da 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 in Margaritaville. It's a white world. It's a white world that I'm living in. We went to the park on Saturday. We went to the park with the kids on the bicycle. We have like this trailer that we can put the kids in the back. It's like a burly trailer. It's like, again, white world, REI white world. We went to the park and there's a dude with a beard. Like, he set up this rope between two trees, and he's walking the tightrope between the two trees. And in my mind, I hear like, hell yeah, man, dude, like juju climbing, whatever they call it, right? And then there's another person in a hammock that probably costs like $400 up between two trees, more REI. And then we're sitting there, and then my wife's yoga teacher comes in and she's coming around the corner there, and then her and her husband and other people there, they set up and they're going to have an old timey jam. This old timey music, man. You see my eyes rolling right now. Now, it's very unpopular. It's a very unpopular taste that I have around for where I live, but I'm not crazy about this music. And people get offended by it. What? You don't like old timey music? It's like, no, I don't, man. I don't really. Like, I like it for a song or two, but I'm ready to go after that. Like, let's do something different. So I am doing something different, señores y señoras, and I'm starting a mariachi band here in Jacksonville. It's my name that I have, that I think that I settled on, is called Mariachi Internacional. And if you see the band, you'll understand why. Now, but that style of music, the old timey music, we're like, when the hell did that come back? Like, when was that? Like, like 5 years ago or 6 or 7 years ago? And then somebody like my friend Eli, he'll be like, no, man, it's been around for a long time. You ever heard of Scruggs Gurgle? He plays the banjo clawhammer style, man. Like, I don't give a fuck. But you know what? You have to love me for it, because I love you. I love you that you love old-timey music. You have to love that I don't like it and I make fun of it. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with me not liking old-timey music. Just because you don't have a podcast and you can't say that you don't like mariachi music, you think I'm going to get offended if you say that you don't like mariachi music? I don't give a shit if you don't like mariachi music. If you love it, great. If you hate it, great. What do you want me to do? It's like, everybody has their own taste, and you got to respect that. Muchos besos. I'll talk to y'all later. I don't know if y'all know this, but the reason that my musical selections are so varied is because I make music for movies. Well, I have anyway. And this is from this enormous catalog that I have. I'm sure other people have even a more enormous catalog. But anyway, I hope you enjoy it. I'll leave you with another track. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can do so at atlanticradio.blogspot.com. I have a Patreon. If you're listening to this on YouTube, you can download the audio. There's also a tip jar at Atlantic Radio, that podcast site that I mentioned just now. And I'll leave you out with another peculiar tune by yours truly. Bye.